Hello everybody, welcome and welcome back. Today is Sideboard Sunday number 4. We are going to be talking about the Invasion of Amonkhet, Sultai mid-range list. So for those of you who don't know, the Invasion of Amonkhet strategy is to land this on turn 3 after a turn 2 Teachings or Mosswood Dread Knight. Teachings the Kieran is going to throw an extra 3 cards into the graveyard, as well as the invasion hitting you for 3 and your opponent for 3. That's 9 possible hits for a potential creature copy. If you're playing against, Domain, that gives you the potential for Atalis or Atraxas, which is pretty crazy. If you compare it up with the early game pressure from the Dread Knight or the Teachings, you have a 2-2 or a 3-2 Trampler to help pressure that to flip it early on turn 4 or 5 sometimes. If your opponent doesn't give you something good to copy, don't worry, we have Aklazot's Deepest Betrayal, Threefold Thunderhulk, and Shieldred's. Even just Sentinel the Nameless City, Glissa, or a Frillback is a very good copy for the invasion, since all of our creatures in this list, they're pretty damn good. Aklazot's and the Invasion of Amonkhet has a very interesting interaction. When Aklazot's is in the graveyard, and you flip this to the Lazotep Convert, if you copy the Aklazot's, and if your copy of the Aklazot's dies, it returns itself, which is the invasion, flipped, which, copies the Aklazot's, so you kind of make yourself like an infinite god loop, which is really cool. Over in the sideboard, we have 2 copies of Spell Pierce, 2 Obstinate Baloth, 3 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Duress, Outland Liberator, Soul Cauldron, Trespasser, Lily, and a Path of Peril. So our worst matchup is of course going to be Control. So for Control, you're going to want to bring in some Disdainful Strokes for Sweepers, Duress for Hand Hate, and Lily for the Hand Hate as well. Being able to flip the Invasion of Amonkhet and copy a Threefold Thunderhulk is one of the easiest ways to kill them, since you can create a 7/7 and 7/1/1 gnomes. Typically that's enough to just kind of end the game on the next turn if your opponent doesn't have blockers. This is especially good post-board, since you can usually maneuver yourself to hold open Disdainful Stroke or Spell Pierce after flipping the invasion to protect yourself from getting blown out by something like Sunfall. Since flipping the invasion and holding open Urtai is not quite as powerful. He's a 4-drop. Being able to kind of out-tempo with the Disdainful Strokes and Pierce is really good. We have a very good matchup against 5-color already, but against them, typically you're just going to bring in Disdainful Strokes and the Lily. Path of Peril is kind of build dependent. If they lean pretty heavily on Herd Migration, you can swap that out for Gix's Command, since Gix's Command is terrible against Herd Migration. Against the Golgari or Sultai mirrors, we have Obstinate Baloth and Agatha's Soul Cauldron in the sideboard, since they're of course going to bring in Lilies for Hand Hate, and we can bring in Baloths to counter it. And yeah, the deck is just really fun. It's very powerful. If you are on the play quite often, this deck is really cool because you can just, 2-drop into 3-drop, pressure the 3-drop, flip it on 4, and just kind of run away with the game there. On the draw, it is a little bit more clunky, as is, most decks, but it still has a lot of staying power because of the Frillbacks, Sentinels, Glissas, and the Shelly. So the deck is well positioned and it is a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing it. We are running just a single copy of the Everflowing Well in here. This is a legendary artifact. When it ETBs, you mill 2 and then you draw 2, so it's pretty good. Helps fill up the grave and helps refill the hand. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if there is 8 or more permanent cards in there, you can transform it. And then the backside is a really strange land that can turn your other permanents into copies of spells that are used, or like copies of permanent spells that are cast from the well or the pools. So you can turn your Teachings tokens into Sentinels, or you can turn them into Thunderhulks. I mean, there's some cool stuff. But yeah, this deck is just a really fun pile of Sultai cards, and I really enjoy playing it. and I really recommend it to anybody else who wants to try and rank up, since this deck is pretty dang powerful. And with all that said, thank you everybody for watching, I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.